Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be talking about Season 2. Isn't that some beautiful artwork by Lee Binding? We're going to be talking about Season 2, of course, the second season in Doctor Who, 64 to 65. I always handle those things like they're newborn children, like they're a newborn child, like I'm scared I'm going to damage them. I can't be the only one that does that. Now, I absolutely love Season 2. It is my favorite Hartnell season and my second favorite season of the 60s. It is just a phenomenal season with some truly great stories. We have 9 stories this season, one more than last season, and I really feel like the actors have really slipped into their roles. They have got their roles down pat by now. I mean, they were doing them pretty well in Season 1, but they've really got them down here. And, of course, we get introduced to Vicky. I love Vicky. She's like a far better version of Susan. Nothing against Carol Ann Ford. I just feel like Vicky is written better. And I do absolutely love Maureen's performance of her as well. So we have Planet of Giants to start off, which, of course, is a 3-parter. And it's a good 3-parter. I absolutely love it. I know it was originally a 4-parter, but I think it works at 3 parts. It's a lot of fun, very underrated, has a very teleplay look to it where it looks like a play that is being performed on television. I love the set design of this story. Very Honey, I Shrunk the Kids looking, which I really enjoy. With my favorite being the sink. When they're on the sink, the oversized sink, which I guess it's technically not oversized, they're undersized, but I love that sink set. But also when they're in the grass and finding the matches and finding the dead bug. I love all of that. That is done really well. Very believable, actually, which I enjoy. The performances are really good as well. And then I like the story. It even kind of turns into a Perry Mason episode for a second, which I really like. Then we have the epic Dalek invasion of Earth, which, of course, is the first time the Daleks came back. It's a great story. Really raises the stakes since we have the Daleks on Earth now for the first time in the show. I think it's a far superior story to the original Daleks. I think it works at 6 parts. I find the ending a little Deus Machina, and Barbara doing this is a little unbelievable, but, you know, willing suspension of disbelief and all that. I think the location work is phenomenally good, very iconic. The set design is really good. I love the 2 old ladies who betray Barbara and Susan, because that does feel like realistically what some people would do in that situation. I can believe there being people like that, so I think that's a really good scene. I really enjoyed this one. I think it would make a good cut-down colorized story. I really, really like Dalek Invasion of Earth. But, of course, a phenomenal ending for Susan as well. That is a wonderful goodbye. Definitely one of the best companion departures. I really, really like Dalek Invasion of Earth. Very, very strong 60s Dalek story. And then we move into The Rescue. Which I really, really like. It's a great 2-parter that does everything it needs to do. It does a great job of introducing Vicky, and I love the rapport between the first Doctor and Vicky, who kind of adopts her and actually asked her to come along. I love the connection they have. Great performances from Maureen and Hartnell there. I like the villain of the story. I love the twist of the villain of the story. That's just lovely. I absolutely adore that. Because I remember watching the first time I saw the villain, I'm like, it's another one of those where it's a guy in a costume. And I love what they did with that. That was wonderful. I absolutely love that. The Rescue is a lot of fun. We have The Romans, which is absolutely fantastic. I love The Romans. It's probably my second favorite Hartnell story. It ranks really high. I love the humor of it. Now, part of this is down to the guy playing Nero is just so good playing this kind of comedic farce version of Nero. He's so good. He sells it with the way he does his dialogue and his facial expressions. But our main cast are putting in good performances too. And I love how the Doctor's team keeps missing Barbara and Ian. How they keep missing each other. I enjoy that. I like the guest cast a lot. I like the set design. It looks really good. It's a lot of fun. It's a very, very funny story. I have so much fun with The Romans. I need to give it a rewatch, actually. I think I've only watched it the one time, but I loved it so much. And I start getting mixed up on story orders at this point. What do we have? I don't remember the exact story order, so I'm going to jump around a bit. We have the Crusade, which is really good. The Crusade is really nice. I wish it was complete. I'm glad we have half of the story. Julian Glover is great as King Richard. Jean Marsh is fantastic as Richard's sister. The other knight, the one that gets captured, the actor playing him is good. And then the actor playing the antagonist of the story is really good too. And his brother, the guy who leads the other side, I forget his name. Both of those actors are doing pretty good. I know some people might have some issue because they're in brownface, but the actors not only are performing the parts well, the characters are written well because they're not written really as antagonists. That's why I was hesitant to use that word for them. Because instead of Richard being the good guy and them being the bad guys, they're both written as very honorable leaders. I love how well the other side is written as honorable, and how neither side really want the war, and how they're both trying to avoid the war. And you get this impression that there probably was a solution here that just got missed out on, unfortunately. Both actors are playing their respective roles very well, and both characters are written so well and given depth, far more depth than sometimes we see villains get in Modern Who. Far better than the Celestial Toymaker was given in The Giggle. The nuance in the writing here is just so good, to where the bad guy of the story is still written as a good guy. And even his brother as well, and how they're both trying to find solutions to avoid conflict. I love how well The Crusade is written. And then, of course, the performances are very good all around. And I love Ian getting knighted and being Sir Ian of Jaffa. I love that. And of course how Ian has to save the Doctor right at the end. And how even the one knight who doesn't like the first Doctor the whole time sticks to his honor code and grants Ian the right to kill him because Ian's pretending like he deserves to kill him. And even the other knight's like, granted. I love that. I absolutely love that there's still a sense of honor there. There's a lot of really neat stuff going on in this. I also love when the first Doctor and that one knight throw down verbally in like part 2 or part 4. I love their verbal sparring there. I do. It's such a good story. I wish more of it was intact. And then we also have the Web Planet. Well, Space Museum comes first. No, Web Planet. Web Planet. I will always respect and admire the ambition behind the Web Planet. What they tried to do with it on that budget, on the budget that they had, is commendable, is respectable. There is a neat story buried in there that if they had just had a little more technology, a little more budget, and a little more filming time, they could have pulled something off a little impressive. It does not get executed well on screen. Sometimes it does. Some of the sets look impressive. There are times where I really like the sets. The performances are fine, especially with the main cast. The Menoptera outfits are pretty nice. I actually really like the Zarbi outfits. They have the human-looking legs, but they are really nice outfits. The grub people don't work for me at all. And that was a choice of the director, not the writer, I know, but I think the grub people are terrible. I don't care for them. Performance-wise, costume-wise, nothing. Cut them out. Boy, if there's a story that might work as a colorized, edited version. Although I hope they don't colorize it the way it looked in that little colorization trailer that showed scenes from it, where it just looks brown. Ooh, it looks like turd brown in those excerpts, and that looks terrible. I wouldn't watch that. But if you give me maybe a black and white cut down version of it, I would watch that. The Web Planet needs an omnibus. The Vaseline on the lens does not work. I know it's supposed to give it an otherworldly look. Instead, it gives it it looks like Vaseline is on the lens look. You have the Zarbi bumping against the camera. That's just adorable, though. Some of the sets also do not work. The final confrontation with the spider-like creature does not work. There's a lot that doesn't work. There's a few things that do work. and I respect the ambition behind it. But it's definitely a low point of 60s Doctor Who, and a low point of classic Doctor Who overall, since the execution just doesn't execute well for the most part. Space Museum I enjoy, much like An Unearthly Child. Episode 1 is phenomenal. It has some really good ideas. It sets up a good mystery of what's going on, trying to figure out what's happening. Why are there versions of them that look like they've been stuffed on display? Why are they not leaving tracks in the sand? It does a lot of neat stuff and asks a lot of neat questions, and I love the idea of the TARDIS jumping a time track, and would love to see that happen in the modern series, actually. That would be a neat thing to explore. But it unfortunately resolves at the end of the episode, and the rest of the story isn't bad. Let me be clear. Some people think that the first episode is good and the rest of it's bad. That's not the case. I'm trying to remember whether the Space Museum is 4 parts or 6 parts. I honestly don't remember if the Space Museum is 4 parts or 6 parts. I've only watched it the one time. The other episodes, though, are fine. It just turns into a more standard Doctor Who story at that point. And I do enjoy it. The guest actors are doing a good job. I like the fact that one side is made up to look different, with the eyebrows being showed they're not human, with the eyebrows being different. And of course the other side having the hair thing going on, which is but it turns into a more generic fare, but it's still a fun watch. It's fine. I enjoy the rest of the Space Museum. Then we move into The Chase, which is another kind of low point for 60s Doctor Who. Now the bookending episodes are great. Episode 1 and episode 6 are great. I enjoy those tremendously. I think they're executed very well. I actually really like watching the mechanoids and the Daleks fight in episode 6. The battle between them is executed really well. When you see all the flames going on, very well done. Ian and Barbara's departure fits narratively into the story. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's actually set up really well and works for the plot of the story very well. And then seeing them kind of exploring London 1965 with that wonderful meme we have now, London 1965. I love that. It's a great departure for them. That's handled very, very well in a time when that often wasn't the case. Now, episode 2 doesn't do much for me. Episode 3 is about half and half. I like the half when they're on the Empire State Building. That's a hoot. I absolutely love that. Peter Purvis is great there. I like how when he's walking around the Dalek's just watching him. That's hilarious. It's a nice little comedy bit. The part with the Mary Celeste I don't really care for. It doesn't really work for me. Episode 4 is awful. One of the worst pieces of Doctor Who. I can't stand episode 4. I mean, maybe if I watched it and just took it like I do the Romans as just funny, I might enjoy it more. But that's, I don't know. I guess The Chase is supposed to be kind of comedic in places, but I just didn't care for it on first viewing. Maybe I'll appreciate it more on a rewatch, but I didn't care for episode 4. Episode 5 is great job. I think it's where we meet Stephen. It does a good job of introducing Stephen, I guess. But yeah, it's a mixed bag, this one. With episodes I really like, episodes I really don't. Mixed bag. And then we move into The Time Meddler, which I love. My favorite Hartnell story at this point. I love the setting of the story. I love the location work. I love the sets. Peter Buttersworth is just fantastic as the monk. I believe he was a comedic actor, and that shows. His comedic timing, the expressions he gets on his face, it kind of reminds me of Troughton in a way, where he does a little more with his facial expressions, slightly exaggerated. Not in a hammy way, not in an over-the-top way, just slightly exaggerated to make it funny. And it works. It reminds me of Troughton a bit. Little things he does. I love the interactions between him and Hartnell. The monk and the doctor, when they're on screen together, they're great. I absolutely love it. They're just little ways they balance off each other and the chemistry they have that just amuse me. That gives me a little chuckle, and I enjoy that. It's a great, real introduction to Stephen as a full companion for the first time, and watching him and Vicky together is really nice. I enjoyed that. The guest cast in this are really good. I enjoyed that. I just really like everything going on in The Time Meddler. It's a great season finale. It's a great way to end the season on a strong, strong note. And I do love the little ending sequence when it's showing all of their faces in space. That's a really cool way to end the season. It's a strong season, season 2. Again, with really the only weak parts being the web planet and the chase for me, and the rest of the season being really solid to just amazing. Easily my favorite Hartnell season and my second favorite season of the 60s. It does a good job of taking season 1 and building on that and doing different things with it. And giving us, of course, the departures of our original companions and introducing new companions. This is the first season to really have to do that, where you see changing of the guards of main characters. And it handles those very well, getting old people, or getting the old companions out, bringing the new companions in. That's done very well in this season. And then again, we have this nice switch up between historical pieces and futuristic stories, and they balance each other very, very well in this season. So season 2, what do you think of it? Whoop. How does it rank in Hartnell's run to you? Comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. Several different tiers there to choose from. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It's very much appreciated. Link to the Patreon down in the description. P.O. Box is down there as well if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. A link to my Amazon wish list is down there. A link to my Amazon UK wish list is also down there if you want to check that out. Most importantly, thank you for watching.